Hi, my name is Cody Page, and I oversee 252 Theater, and it is my joy to welcome you to 252 Theater Online.
Welcome to 252 Theater's online service, a ministry of NewSpring Church in Wichita, Kansas. Fun lives here, so get ready to have a great time and learn about a great big idea! That's right! A big idea is something God wants to do inside you to change the world around you. The biggest ideas are the big three. We hope after joining us online, you'll know that you can treat others the way you want to be treated, make the wise choice, and trust God no matter what. You'll get to experience fun games, skits, worship, and of course, a powerful story straight out of God's Word. More than a video, this is your chance to be a part of something amazing. So get your popcorn, crank up the volume, and get ready for incredible fun. It all starts in 3, 2, 1.
My name is Mr. Jesse. I get the privilege of being over a lot of different environments here at NewSpring, but I get to spend a lot of time in Studio 45. So we're really excited. In just a couple weeks, you guys are going to be coming up to Studio 45. You'll be checking in as new fourth graders. We're really, really excited to have you. And here's the deal. First and second graders, I need your help because in a couple weeks, we're going to have a brand new set of that were kindergartners that are going to come in as first graders. And you know what? Here's the thing that I know. Because Mr. Jesse's been doing this a long time, I've been doing this longer than most of you have been alive. In June, I've been at NewSpring for 15 years. Whoa, that's a long time. Now, here's the thing. The thing that I know is every year when we have new first graders in 252 is a big room. There's lots of noise. And when new first graders come in, they get kind of nervous. They get kind of scared. So, first and second graders in the room, are you guys listening? All I need your help is in a couple weeks when they come up, can you guys make them feel welcome? Can you make some noise if you're going to make them feel welcome? Yeah! That'll be great. And third graders, make some noise for our third graders as they go on to Studio 45. We're excited for them. So in just a couple weeks, August 5th and 6th. So at the end of July, July will be the last week for the third graders to check out 252, and then they'll be moving up, and we'll get a chance to welcome new first graders. But here's the deal. I've got a story to get to because I want to make sure you guys have time for the rest of the service. But here's the thing. I'm going to ask something of you, okay? I need your help. Because when we are telling the story, it is so important, not because Mr. Jesse is speaking, but because we're going to hear a true story from God's Word, and it can change your life. Now, everybody whisper in your quietest voice. Everybody say, faith. Faith is a big idea. Faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. And today, we're going to talk about what happens when the things that we can see, the big, scary stuff in our life, is loud and maybe not great. What do we do then? How can we have faith? So here's the deal. I'm going to need some help. Mr. Cody, would you find me somebody that can play Paul? I need somebody to play Paul for me because as that video said, we've been telling God's big story. If you've been here, you know this. But God's big story is the Bible. It's not one book. It's 66 books. Everybody give him a big round of applause as he makes his way up here. Thank you, Noah. Noah, if you could put this on for me. This is just a robe. There you go. You're going to play Paul. Now, Paul is in God's big story. You can see him in the top corner of that little graphic. He looks good. Everybody say, hi, Paul. Hi, Paul. Now, here's the thing. What you should know about Paul is Paul. You look good, Paul. Paul is on a part of God's big story because Paul actually went and he helped start a lot of churches. Now, what's interesting is we've been reading about Paul in the book of Acts. Everybody say Acts. But when you read a lot of your New Testament, so Romans, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, those are letters that Paul wrote. And what's really cool is when you read Acts, you see and hear the people that are mentioned in all of Paul's letters. So it's really, really cool to read the book of Acts. Now, we're in the last two chapters of the book of Acts. Acts, what you should know is Paul had been thrown into prison a lot for teaching the good news. So I'm going to have you come stand right back here because Paul had been thrown in prison a lot. And at this particular time, Paul is in a prison. He's in a jail, okay? He's for a governor of Caesarea, okay? And he had been there for 2 years. Everybody say 2 years. It's been a long time that Paul had been in prison for telling other people about Jesus. And finally, Paul, can you go like this? Paul tells the governor, he says, hey, I'm a Roman citizen, and I would like to go before Caesar, okay? He wanted to go to Rome. Now, that's a long ways away, and they didn't have cars or Corvettes or buses or airplanes back then, so he was going to have to go on a boat ride, and that's where I need 2 other people, Mr. Cody. I need someone to play a Roman, and you can get a girl for me to play the captain of the boat. We don't know for sure, but maybe she's a girl. So here's one guy. I need a boy that's going to be playing a guy named Julius. Everybody say Julius. Now, Paul, would you come right back here? Through the power of purple curtain, not a lot of people know about green screen, but very few people know about purple screen. And you are going to be the purple screen for us. So Paul here is on a boat ride. Come on over here, Nehemiah. Okay, I'm going to have you trade hats. There you go. You are a soldier. Okay, can you go behind? His name was Julius. Everybody say hi, Julius. And there was a captain of a ship. Now, I don't think she was a pirate, but we're just going to let her look like a pirate, okay? Everybody say, hi, how's it going? Okay, now go ahead and get on your boat. You guys are on the boat, okay? Now, here's what happens. They have to travel all the way to Caesarea, okay? They have to travel all the way from there to Rome. And that was going to be a long, long boat ride. So they get on the boat. Can you guys kind of lean back and forth? Lean both ways. There you go. Yeah, because you're on a boat. You're on a boat. So, you're saying sometimes the waves would knock you this way. Sometimes they knock you that way, okay? So you're on a boat. It's taking a while. Now, eventually, they stop at a couple different ports. And at one of the ports, Paul tells them this. I want you to check this out. They get to port. It's kind of nice. There's seagulls maybe. Yeah, because they're by the land. And this is what Paul says. He says, men, I can see that our trip is going to be dangerous. The ship and everything in it will be lost. Our own lives will be in danger also. So Paul tells them, he's like, listen, because actually what it tells us is when they stopped, it was getting late in the year. And so the weather was getting worse and worse and worse out on the ocean. And so he's saying, listen, let's just wait here. Let's not continue on to Rome. But here's the deal. The captain of the ship, can you kind of cross your arms maybe? She was stubborn, okay, or he was stubborn. And he says, no, I'm going to keep going. So point forward. You're saying you got to point forward. He's like, we're sailing on to Rome. So they get back out on the water. And it's not too long before the Bible tells us in the book of Acts, everybody say Acts, that the wind started to pick up. The wind started to pick up. The waves got a little choppier, okay? So can you feel the wind? Can you imagine? Yeah, it starts to really blow. In fact, so much so it says hurricane-style winds were blowing. And then that's not all. It says that the weather gets pretty bad too. The weather gets so bad that it starts raining and pouring. You can see it's bad. I mean, people are getting wet. I know, it's terrible. There's water crashing over the side. There's lightning. It's not good. All right. Now, here's the deal. Who got a little wet? Show me if you got wet. Anybody get wet? Yeah, they're getting wet. Okay, but look up here. Because you've got Paul. Everybody say hi, Paul. Paul is saying, I told you this was going to happen. I don't think he said that. But they start throwing cargo over. They start throwing parts of the boat over. They're trying to lighten their load. And finally, they cannot continue. The rain is coming down. The lightning is coming down. I mean, this is a bad, bad storm. In fact, this goes on for, watch this, 2 weeks. Everybody say 2 weeks. And finally, the boat runs onto a sandbar, and it's getting pelted with the waves. Now, I want you to watch what happens in the book of Acts. Everybody say Acts. Listen to what Paul says. Paul says this. He says, I beg you to be brave. Everybody say, be brave. Paul says, not one of you will die. Only the ship will be destroyed. I belong to God and I serve him. And last night his angel stood beside me. The angel said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must go on trial in front of Caesar. God has shown his grace by sparing the lives of all those sailing with you. So Paul said, continue to be brave. I have faith. Everybody say faith. In God. It will happen just as he told me, but we must run the ship onto the beach of an island. And so they do, and finally they have to, all the people that can swim come swim. Here, Paul, you can swim. And the Nehemiah, we're going to say, you can swim, you can swim. And the captain of the ship, she was scared, so she couldn't swim, okay? And so she grabs onto parts of the ship. The ship ends up being completely destroyed, and they make it to land by swimming or holding on to the wreckage. They finally make it. They fight for their lives. They swim to the shore, and they end up on the island. Everybody say, whew! Now, as soon as they do, Paul decides, hey, we're all wet, we're all tired, so they're on an island called Malta, and the islanders there say, hey, let's take care of you. So they build a fire, and as they build the fire, a snake comes out from the wood that Paul has grabbed, and it bites him. And so Paul shakes it off in the fire, and everybody looks at him. Can you look scared? They're like, this guy's going to die. He just survived a shipwreck, and God was so angry at him, he had a snake bite him because he wanted him to die. But guess what? He doesn't. He's fine. Not only that, he actually goes to other people in the island. There's the chief's official. His dad is sick, and he goes and he prays for the chief's official, and the chief's official's dad gets healed, and other people are healed. And guess what? Paul is able to tell them about the God that he serves, that even though he had been through so much, had been with him the whole time. Can you guys give these guys a big round of applause? That was awesome. You guys can have a seat. Thank you, sailors. Thank you, thank you. You guys can grab a seat. That was awesome. That was awesome. Now, here's the thing. You think, Jesse, what in the world am I supposed to do with that story? I'm never going sailing, especially after that story. But listen, here's what I want you to know. Everybody say, when bad things happen, God is with you. See, here's the thing. There's going to be bad things that happen in our life. Sometimes those bad things happen just because we live in a broken world, right? Like an ocean storm. Sometimes those bad things happen because other people make bad choices, or we make bad choices. Like, for instance, Paul told the sailors, he said, hey, we should not keep sailing. But what happened? They kept sailing. So sometimes other people make bad choices, and those affect us. But guys, here's the thing. When bad things happen, was God still with Paul when they were on a boat in the water and it was a bad storm? Was he with Paul when the boat was sinking? Was he with Paul when he got on the island and Paul got bit by a snake? God was with Paul, listen, the entire time. Can I tell you one story? This isn't a story from the Bible. This is a story from Mr. Jesse's life, and I'm going to pray for you. Part of my job as a pastor is I get to pray for you guys and teach to you guys, but sometimes I will go visit people when they're in the hospital. I remember the very first time I had to visit a young kid who was in the hospital. He was in the hospital because there were some issues with his tummy that were pretty serious issues. They didn't know about him, and then he got really, really sick, and they had to take him to the hospital. And so they said they would like to know if Mr. Jesse would come and pray for him, because I worked with him here in 252. So I said, of course I'll go pray for him. And I remember going to that hospital and walking up to the rooms, the very first hospital visit I ever did. And that little boy said, you know what he said to me? He said, Mr. Jesse, why do bad things happen like this? That's a good question. And I had to tell him, I said, you know what? Sometimes bad things just happen in our world because our world is broken. Remember, we talked about this in God's big story. The world was broken by sin. And so there are broken things in our life. God didn't want Paul to have to go through a shipwreck. God didn't want Paul to get bitten by a snake. But do you know who was with Paul when those things happened? God was. And do you know who was with that little boy in the hospital? God was. I can trust God. And here's the thing. There's going to be some times in your life, Wyatt. There's going to be some times in your life, August. There's going to be some times in your life, every single boy and girl in here, when things in your life are going to go bad. And you're not going to like what's going on. But guess what? Even in bad things, even when all you can see is the bad thing, even if all you can see is the bad thing, even though you can't see it, right there with you is our God. And he wants to help you through it. And here's the cool thing. You never know what might happen. If Paul had never been on a shipwreck, then he never would have been able to tell the people on island about Jesus. And so God can use those things to tell other people about him. All right, let me pray for you. Father God, I pray for every student, every kid, every heartbeat in this room. I don't know what hard things they're going through. I know we're not going through a shipwreck right now, but some of us might feel like some things in our life are pretty messed up. Maybe our parents are splitting up, or maybe one of our friends are sick, or maybe we're sick, or maybe we're just not looking forward to the new school year. But Father, I pray that you would help remind us that no matter what hard situation we're facing, you are with us. And all God's children said,
Thanks for joining us today for 252 Theater Online. We hope you had a great time learning about the big idea. We'd love to get in touch with you. With your parents' help, you can visit our Facebook or Instagram page to message us any questions or prayer requests. If you would like a daily devotional that goes along with what you just heard, click the link in the description box below to download a God Time card that you can do at home. We have incredible fun like this every weekend, so make sure you click the subscribe button so you can see when our newest videos are posted. If you have younger or older brothers and sisters, we have amazing weekly content for their age group too. And of course, our doors are open every weekend for you to experience 252 Theater in person. Have a great week putting this big idea into practice, and we'll see you again next week.